the shadowed corridors of corporate ambition and veiled vendettas, Haley Hamilton moved like a phantom unseen, unchallenged, and increasingly unhinged. While her father, Bill Hamilton, remained confined to a hospital bed after a recent health collapse, the future of Hamilton Corporation teetered in her hands. She had waited for this moment, studied it, rehearsed it, anticipated every move, every weakness in the empire he had built. And now, without fanfare or resistance, she was seizing it. Not through overt power plays or grandstanding. No. Haley's war was waged in silence, behind closed doors, and through whispers sent down the bloodless veins of the financial world. At first, her maneuverings were small. Strategic absences from board meetings turned into subtle shifts in alliances. Long-forgotten clauses in governance documents were quietly activated. She began making calls, not to gain favor, but to erode trust. It started with Dana's scandal had barely touched the surface, a minor headline buried in business tabloids. But Haley saw its value. She blew it up, leaked select details to carefully curated sources, and wrapped it in a narrative that cast doubt not just on Donnie, but on those closest to her, Naomi and Chelsea. She didn't just imply complicity. She inferred moral decay. The timing was perfect. The board, already divided and nervous, now saw shadows everywhere. Haley provided the light, the path, the escape from chaos, from the old guard, from the failing model they all quietly resented. Naomi tried to push back. She'd weathered worse storms, fought larger fires. But this was different. The attacks were slippery, impossible to pin down, and came from angles she didn't anticipate. Every meeting became a minefield. Every ally felt half-committed. Chelsea, meanwhile, found herself isolated. Support for her initiatives evaporated overnight. Haley didn't just undermine their authority. She turned them into liabilities. And with every whisper that Naomi had mishandled funds, every question about Chelsea's judgment, Haley widened the crack between legacy and leadership. She wasn't just climbing the ladder. She was dismantling it behind her. But Haley wasn't content with perception games. She wanted leverage that couldn't be undone, even if the tide turned. So she did what no Hamilton heir had dared to do before. She gambled the family's own fortune against the company name. Quietly, she created a blind trust. The paperwork was dense, the chain of shell companies nearly impossible to trace. She funneled millions of Milton money into this trust, then used it to begin accumulating Hamilton Corporation stock. Not to support it, not to shore up confidence, but to short it, to bet on its fall. The rumor mill was her weapon of choice. She planted leaks in analyst circles, hinted at a cash flow crisis, spread innuendo about criminal investigations. She had fake dossiers prepared, all of it designed to rattle confidence, tank the stock, and make her trust worth tenfold once the dust cleared. Panic spread. Investors began to pull. The board, still unaware of the source, scrambled for answers. Haley provided none. She just smiled, measured, polished, helpful. Always helpful. The closer the vote for leadership reappointment came, the more aggressive she became. She offered private reassurances to wavering board members, played both sides of every conversation, promised to steady the ship once she was given control. Meanwhile, legal teams inside the company began picking up the scent. Discrepancies in filings, quiet movements of shares, anonymous trades that bore the fingerprints of internal knowledge. But no one could trace it directly. Not yet. If her scheme was exposed, the consequences would be catastrophic. Using family assets to manipulate the market of her own company wasn't just unethical, it was illegal. It would spark class action lawsuits, SEC investigations, and drag the Hamilton name through a scandal that would outlive them all. But Haley didn't care. She wasn't playing for safety. She was playing for the throne. And still, Bill Hamilton remained in recovery, unaware of the fire consuming his legacy. His absence had given Haley the room she needed. His silence gave her the power. Naomi suspected. Chelsea warned. But neither could prove. And as the day of the board vote approached, Haley stood poised calm, untouchable, inevitable. She had turned her own family's fortune into a weapon. She had isolated the loyalists, poisoned the legacy, rigged the system. The board was cornered, demoralized, ready for new leadership. What they didn't know what they couldn't know is that they weren't appointing a savior. They were surrendering to a saboteur. By the time the final votes were cast, Haley had already secured her majority. She didn't need every member. Just enough. Just enough fear. Just enough doubt. The motion passed. She stood, accepted the mantle, offered the obligatory speech. Stability. Transparency. Renewal. All eyes. Because now, with the company stock in freefall and the trust reaping millions in short-side profit, Haley wasn't just in control. She was the architect of both Hamilton Corporation's destruction and its rebirth in her terms and her name for her vision alone. But even in victory, danger loomed. Naomi hadn't given up. Chelsea had begun tracing digital signatures, contacting external auditors, hiring private investigators. And Bill, slowly regaining strength, had started asking questions. The walls were not closing in yet, but they would. And when they did, Haley would either stand as the most brilliant strategist in the company's history, or its most devastating traitor. Either way, she had already rewritten the rules. And the game wasn't over yet. Beyond the gates, 2 weeks of chaos and betrayal on The Bold and the Beautiful from June 16th to June 27th. The Bold and the Beautiful enters dangerous, emotional territory with twists that leave nothing into Chet family, love, loyalty, and sanity all hang by a thread. The next 2 weeks unleash an avalanche of deception, obsession, and a chilling plot that could tear the Forrester world apart. At the center of the storm is Steffy Forrester, facing a nightmare beyond anything she's ever imagined. But she's not alone in the line of fire. Nick Marone, Ridge Forrester, Luna Nozawa, Brooke Logan, Taylor Hayes, and Remy Price are all caught in a web of secrets and power plays. These aren't just dramatic ripples, they're shockwebs. Luna Nozawa, driven by obsession and perhaps something far darker, takes her plan to a terrifying new level. Early in the week of June 16th, she stalks the sunlit coastline, armed with a long-lens camera, watching as Hayes Finnegan plays in the sand under the watchful eye of Steffy. To the outside world, Luna's presence may seem accidental or curious. It's not. It's calculated. As Hayes laughs and plays, Luna's eyes aren't filled with joy, fire filled with intent. She's studying, planning, waiting. When Luna finally gets close enough to Hayes, she brings a gift, sweet, innocent, perfectly wrapped, just like her false intentions. It's a test, a probe. If she can win his trust, get him to smile at her, let her near without fear, then the next step taking him becomes easier. And Luna is ready to take that step. It's no longer about getting close to Hayes. It's about removing him from Steffy entirely. Steffy, distracted by a growing number of emotional and family conflicts, remains unaware of the threat closing in. She's focused on Hope Logan, who fumes as Steffy pressures Daphne Rose to return to Los Angeles. Hope's anxiety isn't subtle. She doesn't want Daphne back, especially with the Carter Walden situation hanging in the air like a loaded weapon. Hope suspects Steffy is meddling against something she's grown tired of. But Steffy doesn't stop. She pushes. Daphne is useful. She's leverage. She's a distraction. And right now, Steffy needs all the distractions she can get because her own world is quietly unraveling behind her back. Meanwhile, Brooke Logan is thrown off her axis by the return of Nick Marone. Their reunion is charged, electric, and not just because of nostalgia. Nick doesn't just appear. He acts. He kisses her. He suggests a new future, a new path. Brooke, ever torn between loyalty, history, and passion, doesn't know how to respond. But Katie Logan has opinions. She watches her sister's emotional turmoil unfold and doesn't hold back. Her commentary is sharp. Her concerns are real. She knows Brooke's history with Ridge. She knows how fragile peace is in their world. And she's right to worry. Ridge Forrester, despite everything, is still tethered to Brooke in ways even he can't admit. When he sees Nick cozying up to her, jealousy burns through him. He lashes out not subtly, not calmly. It leads to a clash, a verbal and emotional brawl between Reg and Nick that barely stays on the road. Ridge is rage. Nick is smug. Taylor Hayes, caught between them, sees the truth Rich tries to hide. He's not over Brooke. And that's a problem she can't ignore anymore. The tension between Brooke and Taylor reignites like dry kindling near open flame. Their truce, always uneasy, now cracks wide open. They confront each other not just over Ridge, but over who's lying to whom, who's manipulating whom, and what kind of women they've both become. Every conversation is a chess match. Every glance is a warning. And no one is backing down. But while the adults play their games, the real danger is unfolding in secret. By the time the week of June 23rd begins, Luna's plan has advanced far beyond shadows and gifts. Hayes Finnegan disappears. In the blink of an eye, Steffi's life is shattered. Panic, dread, and disbelief take over. One moment, he was safe. The next, he's gone. The horrifying truth begins to surface that this wasn't an accident. This was deliberate. This was orchestrated. Steffi is thrown into a waking nightmare. Every mother's worst fear becomes her reality. Hayes is gone. And then the phone rings. Luna reaches out, her voice calm, controlled, dripping with menace disguised as negotiation. She makes it clear, Hayes is alive, but she's in charge now. If Steffi wants to see her son again, she must confidently, blindly. Luna demands Steffi come alone to a remote location. No police, no Finn, no one. If Steffi breathes a word of this to her husband, the deal's off. The threat is clear, the stakes unbearable. Steffi is cornered, terrified, and furious. But she plays along. She has no choice. Meanwhile, Luna pulls Remy Price deeper into the abyss. Remy may have known bits and pieces of Luna's instability, but now he's trapped. If Sheila Sharp hears about Hayes' disappearance and Remy becomes a target, she suspects he knows more than he admits. And maybe he does. Remy may be forced into a role he never wanted. Luna could use him to watch Hayes while she carries out her next move with Steffi. If Remy refuses, things could get worse. If he helps, he becomes complicit. Either way, Luna is pulling him into the gravity of her madness, and the damage may be irreversible. Back in LA, Ridge and Finn both begin to sense that something is terribly wrong. Steffi is acting off. She's hiding something. But what? Finn's instincts scream at him to press, to dig, but Steffi shuts him out. She's protecting him or trying to. Ridge, meanwhile, becomes suspicious of everyone, and his anger once again flares toward Nick, who he accuses of distracting everyone from what matters. The tension builds. The truth inches closer to the surface. As the days tick by, the pressure threatens to crack every relationship in the Forrester orbit. Brooke finds herself torn between two men. Taylor questions her own loyalties. Hope keeps Daphne close to prevent her from becoming a problem. Katie tries to hold the family together with words no one listens to. And Luna. She orchestrates it all with a disturbing calmness. By the end of the second week, nothing is the same. Hayes' fate remains uncertain. Steffi is on the verge of breaking. Ridge is ready to explode. Luna is closer to her twisted goal than ever before. And Remy stands at a crossroads, his next move potentially sealing the future of them all. This isn't just another chapter in the bold and the beautiful. This is a descent into chaos, where every choice could destroy a family and every lie has a price. Stay tuned. The gates are open and what lies beyond may be darker than anyone ever imagined.